Not wearing the hijab doesn't guarantee you going to hell, but it makes you a step closer. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. How are you guys? Today's video is going to be about the trend of taking off the hijab. At some point we were so happy that there are those hijabist women who became famous, and they proved to us that wearing the hijab will not stop you from being successful. But that happiness didn't last long. Unfortunately, many hijabist famous women start taking off their hijab. And now we understand the lesson and memorize the steps. You start covering, wearing modestly a proper hijab, but then suddenly we see some part of your neck, and then the hijab somehow slips to the back a bit and we see the front hair, and eventually we don't see the hijab anymore, or maybe you wear it as a scarf, stylish on your neck. And when that happens, people divide it into two groups. The one who say this is her choice and that they respect her choice, and that it doesn't matter for them whether she's wearing the hijab or is not. The other group who get so disappointed and sometimes get angry. Also sometimes they might say bad things about her, which is absolutely wrong. And that doesn't only happen to a famous people, fashionista, hijabist, influencer, whatever you want to name them, but it happens also sometimes to a family member or a friend. When you wake up someday and then you're surprised that your best friend or your sister took off her hijab, and you're asking yourself from where she got all this courage and why that happened. And here comes the typical answer that the hijabists share when they take off the hijab. If you ask them why did you do that, though they don't like you to ask them that question, they would say, I'm not convinced, I feel I'm a hypocrite. I'm not convinced from the inside and I'm wearing it only for people. I will wear it when I'm convinced, when I'm ready. And if you ask them, what do you mean by not convinced? You mean that you believe that in Islam it's not obligatory for a Muslim woman to wear hijab? I think the majority of them will disagree with that, and they will say no. They know that it's wajib, it's obligatory. Because guys, as you know, the word hijab itself is not mentioned in Quran. But Arabic language is bigger than that. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said فَلْيَضْرِبْنَ بِخُمُرِهِنَّ عَلَى جُيُوبِهِنَّ, and the word خُمُرِهِنَّ is literally hijab. And some people might say, no, it's not hijab, you made it hijab. Well, of course we didn't make it hijab, because at that time when that ayah came, all the Muslim women, when they heard that ayah, they immediately covered their heads. And if they misinterpret it or they misunderstood the ayah, I think the Prophet ﷺ, he would definitely corrected them. But that didn't happen, so obviously it means cover your head. So this hijabist is still convinced that wearing the hijab is a must. But what's the problem then? If you know that it's a must, why are you not wearing it? I'm not wearing it because I don't feel I want to wear it. I don't like it, maybe it's hot. I don't really feel that well inside me to wear it. Okay, so it's like that. But the reality is that not all the things in Islam we might like, or we have to like. We have to obey Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and Allah's will should be above our will, no matter what. Yes, I might agree with you that I wish hijab was not wajib. I wish it wasn't obligatory. Sometimes I feel hot, sometimes maybe I feel prettier without hijab, and we all want to show ourselves the prettiest. But this is my will, and it goes against maybe the Islamic or Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's will. I will not follow my will. And if I'm waiting myself to be convinced, if I'm waiting my desire, my will to change to fit the Islamic will, it might never change. And this is the challenge. You will not be hypocrite if you don't like the hijab, but you're still wearing it. You will take more ajr. So when you're not convinced about the hijab, when you don't really feel like you like it or you want to wear it, which is better? You keep it on and you change your intention, or you try your best to like it, or you just live with it, or you take it off and wait until you desire change. Of course, the first option is better, because who knows how much the effect you did when you took off the hijab on other people. This is one thing. So who knows that you might live until you are convinced of wearing the hijab. What if you die without wearing the hijab? And it's even worse, you were wearing it and you took it off. It's worse than not wearing it at all. And yes, not wearing the hijab doesn't guarantee you going to hell, but it makes you a step closer. And you might say that I took the hijab off, but hijab is not everything. There are so many things in this religion that I follow, and I obey Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala even more after I took this hijab. And there are those girls who wear hijab and they do bigger sins than I do. So firstly, yes, hijab is not everything, but it's absolutely a big important thing, and it's our identity as Muslim women. And you cannot pick whatever suits you in Islam, apply it and do it, and you just put aside the things that you don't like or doesn't suit you or suit your lifestyle or whatever you want to call it. And for those women who wear hijab but do bad things or do more sins, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is going to punish them for every single sin they have done. And that's a total different thing. They're not doing the sin because they're wearing the hijab. Wearing the hijab is one of the good things they are doing, and all these sins are the bad things they're doing. So these two are total separate things. So this comparison is unfair, to be honest, and doesn't fit. And yes, I know that all these hijabis who take off the hijab, they don't like people to talk about it. They don't like people to criticize them. But the thing is that when we are talking about it, when we are angry or disappointed when you take off your hijab, it's just because we like you and we saw something in you we didn't see in other women. We saw hope in you. We saw a Muslim woman can be so successful with her hijab on, without having the feeling to lose your identity just to fit in somebody's standards or a society's standards. We saw you making your own Muslim standards, paving the road for all the Muslim hijabists who have hopes and have dreams. But now after you've taken it off, all these hopes disappeared. They became like illusions. You show us like, yes, you can start with a hijab, but it will not really work until you take it off. Hijab and success do not fit at all. So kindly accept our criticism the way you accept praising. And you need to expect that when you do something good, people will praise you. And when you do something wrong, people will criticize you. That's so normal. My aim with this video is not to criticize you only, and it's absolutely not to say something wrong or bad about you and make you feel bad about yourself. But my word for all those girls who took off their hijab just because they think that they need to fit in the society where they live in, or just because they think that they're not convinced yet, or just because whatever the reason it is, while they are convinced fully that it's obligatory. My message for you is to have the same courage that you had when you took off that hijab. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, وَتَحْسَبُونَهُ هَيِّنًا وَهُوَ عِنْدَ اللَّهِ عَظِيمٌ. A sin you might commit and you think, it's nothing, it's just taking off the hijab, it's just lying, it's not a big deal, I'm doing way much good deeds and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will forgive me, it's just a small thing. Never underestimate any sin, because this sin for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala may be bigger than all the sins you have committed, and it might be the reason that makes you closer and closer to hell, la samahullah. So I'm asking you to put Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's will above all and cut off the waiting for yourself, because you might never ever be fully convinced. And this is where the beauty of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's test for you comes. Where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala puts you in a situation where you have a strong personality, you have a bravery and courage. And with these, He gives you the desire for not liking the hijab, not like wearing the hijab. And He's testing you. Whether you're gonna prefer Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's order or prefer your desire. whether you're gonna go against yourself or against Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And you just have to be convinced that it's Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's orders to put on the hijab, and whether myself like it, desire it or not, I will follow it. And this is when you're gonna pass the test, inshallah. And it's gonna take you a way much courage and bravery to put the hijab on than the one you had when you took it off. And the decision is yours. And remember that yourself is gonna be greedier day by day. And you're not gonna be satisfied suddenly one day out of nowhere, unless you stop it. And lastly, my words for those girls who are still wearing the hijab is, please wear it properly, wear it correctly, cover your neck, cover your hair fully, and wear clothes that are suitable for the hijab. You're not supposed to be a hijabist when you only cover some part of your hair, some part of your head. This is not a hijab. A real hijab is hijab that covers properly. So this video came to an end. If you feel that this video is beneficial, please feel free to share it everywhere so my words can reach as many girls as possible. And tell me your opinion in the comment section below. Until the next time, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.